Welcome, 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 everybody.
Uh,
Woo-hoo! Yes, you're getting into it. I love it. To another edition of What's Your Story. I have the great privilege of being in space, sharing in space with Marlene. I'm going to have her say her last name because I already know I'm going to butcher it. Who I met while we're working on a collaboration project. And I just loved your energy from the start. Like you're warm and you're welcoming and you're open and you're curious. And so for me, I like to highlight people who show up as love and learn more about their story of how they became this warm, inviting soul. So everybody, welcome Marlene. Marlene, share with us your last name and anything you want people to know about you.
Hello, everyone. I have so much joy and curiosity and a warm heart being in this space with this beautiful human and soul Carrie, who I just met recently, and I'm so glad to be connecting further with. So, my name is Marlene Ertlmaier. I'm of German and Greek descent, but I'm living in Germany again at the moment after some many years of traveling and exploring the world, and through that, also exploring humans and cultures and societies and myself and my own inner worlds. I would say, to put in some words, what I do is bring people back to their innate, powerful, beautiful nature and to the nature that is around us. Because I myself have walked a long path of, let's say, medical misjudgments and diagnosis of chronic illness when I was still very young. I was born prematurely. There was a lot of, in my views, unnecessary assessment. Many things happened in the medical system that I will not call healthcare system at all, because that is not what it does. And since then, yeah, I have really been fortunate and curious and courageous enough to walk an alternative path, and now sharing that more and more with the world, and yeah, waking people up to the realization that health and power and strength and abundance and fullness is always available to us, and that we do not need to submit ourselves to any kind of system of treatments, of, yeah, all these hierarchies that are present in this world. But we are indeed our best medicine woman or medicine man, and nature is our greatest teacher and ally, and she has so much, Mother Earth has so much abundance and richness and power to give to us. So I am working as a holistic bodywork therapist. I work with systemic ways of arranging our relationships in the outer world with the relationships within our body, so to say. So everything that concerns developmental trauma, emotional blockages, energetic leaks, all of these things that constitute our external ecosystem and universe and multiverse, that are mirrored within the body and within all the ailments and symptoms and whatever aches and things that we can have. So basically, I'm trying to translate the body's language to our human mind, and
Mm.
to reconnect to what it is that our body and our being has to tell us and has to teach us, and how we can really listen to that silent whisper within the voice of our soul, the song of our heart, and also the many beautiful melodies of nature. Because I do believe, like it was the case in my life, the reconnection to Mother Earth, to the cycles of life, to the natural way of living is the biggest remedy and the most powerful one, because it is always accessible to us and to everyone, really. Because, as I said, it's abundant, it's free, it's ever present, and it's so simple and accessible once we have opened our eyes and our hearts to it. So that is kind of
I
my
love that.
message.
It makes me so happy. Well, I mean, honestly, anybody who is teaching people to tap into themselves, right? Because I think a lot of our illness comes from being disconnected from our spirit, right? Mind, body, spirit. We are not separate. And we've been conditioned to just operate from this thinking mind and performing and producing, utilizing a body that needs to be in alignment with all three to really be able to function whatever.
Mm.
Anyway, that word. So I'm curious too. So you talk about how when you were younger, you had a lot of health diagnoses. How did that impact your experience in your formative years to to get you to the point where you were brave enough to endeavor to try something different?
Mm. Beautiful question. Yeah, let's say that since I can remember, I had this strong curiosity within me. I was often labeled too curious by my parents or grandparents. I was always the one with the too many and mostly uncomfortable answers, especially for the ones that didn't know what to answer, how to answer them. And I was always just asking why. And then also subsequently, why not differently? So for me, it was a very painful experience to be labeled in these ways. And at the same time, like you say, my rational, my logical mind accepted it, while a big part of my being and my soul's essence didn't really believe it. Like, why are these people in white coats telling me that I have this and that, and maybe it matches some of the symptoms that I'm showing, but I didn't feel that. Like when I was told that I have a chronic lung insufficiency and I could not do sports the way that other children do, I could see on one hand that maybe there is some weakness that I'm struggling with. At the same time, I was never seeing myself as impaired or disabled in that sense. Like they literally at one point wanted to give me a letter. I don't know how it's called, a certificate of disability. So I would not need to continue doing the sports in school. And I loved it. So I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to get that. And I think that was my salvation, because by not getting that and by not believing that label, by not putting that stamp on my being, I was resisting some of that identification with the sickness, so to say. And even if like I said, my premature birth and a lot of antibiotics, especially that I was taking as a child and then as a teenager, I was slowly noticing how they were not only not really alleviating my issues, but also creating a hell lot more. Like I was
Yeah.
that typical teenager with acne, weird stuff happening in my digestive system. I was constantly throwing up after eating out. I was the one with all the allergies to foods. And at the same time, I had such a strong feeling within me that there is more to that I am strong, that I am able. I was doing a lot of sports, even if my doctors told me that I shouldn't and that I need to be careful because I'm fragile and all of this. Like there was always this split, let's say, and realities between what they were telling me and what I was feeling within me. So I don't know if I had an epiphany or I don't know what, but at 17, I just decided to stop completely whatever my doctors were giving me.
Mm.
Basically, when I was still a very young child, they told me that my immune system was not fully functioning. They labeled all kind of autoimmune diseases. And so every time that I would be getting a normal cold, the protocol was to go to my doctor and get an antibiotic
Oh
because my
God.
immune system cannot handle it, right? So this vicious cycle continued over many years. And I was the one that when she had a bladder infection, it would get up to the kidneys. I would need to do a whole 3 weeks pure toxification with antibiotics. By the way, the word antibiotic is a very powerful and profound one because it's coming from the Greek bios, which is life, and anti-bios is literally anti-life. It's against life. So
Yeah,
this
because
tells a whole story.
antibodies exist within our body anyway. And so to feed us with external whatever, yeah,
Can only signal to the whole system that there is something wrong. There
yeah,
is a lot of powerful, necessary, vital bacteria cultures which can actually be eliminated forever in our guts when we take specific antibiotics. Whoever studies the microbiome of the gut and what it does also to our nervous system and so on realizes slowly why I had such an intense reaction to this cannot be the path actually. And I just quit. I literally hit the exit button and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this differently. And I started doing my research, and I started at 17 years old to really get into a whole different way of nutrition, of, yeah, how to treat my body, how to do fasting, all these kind of elimination protocols, which were all over. And back then I didn't have any idea how to work my way through it. But I guess I was always blessed and very, very grateful to have such a connection to my intuition and to my gut feeling, and to be able to do try and error and see, okay, this doesn't work, this trend is maybe off, da da da. And so I think I just, yeah, tried my way through it. And I have a kind of strong fighter archetype,
Later
which is really
instinct.
a
Yeah.
strong warrior of life, which is like, you know what, I'm just gonna run through this hell and through this battlefield with an immense courage and curiosity, and just try what works. And if I'm dying, then I'd rather die without those pills that just make me feel even more bad in my stomach and that give me all these allergies. I was at one point allergic to my cat, like all these things, because you understand they completely broke down my whole
Body. Yeah.
system, my whole body, my whole essence of what my body could alchemize and transform. So I guess that was one of the best decisions of my life, even if most of the people that knew me were quite shocked. And there were even some reactions, like my then boyfriend, who told me I was crazy, who told me I was gambling, playing with my life. And I heard them, and I heard their worries. And I also had this strong voice inside me kind of twinking, was like, you're gonna watch me. You watch me get healthy.
That's me too. I'm so like, I think that is any change maker or people who are gonna do things their own way. We have this innate like resilience and ability to be like, it doesn't have to make sense to you, but I'm gonna do it because I just know that it's going to be the thing that
Yeah.
carries me and it's gonna work. So I love that.
In a way, I
So
love to say that crazy people just know the truth a bit earlier than others.
yeah, and
You know,
it's
back then we are labeled crazy and out of our minds, and then some years later, it's like, you know what? Maybe you are not that off.
all the time. I'm still called the crazy person in my family. And before I would be so offended, but now I wear it as a badge of honor. I'm like, "Pfft, if this is crazy, I don't want to be any other way. Thank you very much." So yeah, so you decided to go off protocols that were given to you by the traditional Western or med like medical industry,
Industry.
because it really is. We're not connected. Um, how did you like? So I know that a lot of people were resistant. How did your family take it? Because right, our family who loves us the most tend to have the most negative reactions when we do things differently.
Mm. Well, it was quite a journey, I would say. In the beginning, especially my mother was quite fearful. Even if I have to give a big shout out to my mom, also, which already when I was a child, she was also seeking for alternative remedies. She gave me onion syrup when I had a cold and whatever, but she was also very much submitted to those panic systems and all this fear mongering and whatever. And especially our entanglement in this whole story goes so far because it was literally the way that I came into this world. Like, she was submitted to this system and I was taken from her and given into the power into other hands. So all of this, me being weak, was definitely imprinted into her being and in our relationship in some way. So we needed to do a lot of undigging of these traumas. And of course, when I first told her that I'm going to stop it, she was scared out of her mind, and she
Yeah.
literally was brought back emotionally to that point when I nearly died at birth, and when the doctors told her that we need to do everything to save her, and injection and here and there and tubes up the nose to give me food. um, so yeah, back then that shock was definitely deeper than it would have needed to be, because it was so loaded with with old pains and old wounds. So we really needed to work through that for several years. And in the beginning, she gave me the freedom, but she also made her worries very clear. And that also drove me a bit away from her. I have to
Yeah.
admit it. For quite some time, I was seeking my distance, especially at 17. I moved out at just 18. I was really trying to break free and cut these chains. And even if I love my mother deeply, those chains were also attached to her, because her projections on me being that tiny, fragile baby in a way were still present in my field and were still
Yeah.
defining to some extent who I was, or who I was made believe I was. So I would say that this whole journey was really a reconciliation with a lot of wounds and pains and trauma that we carried together. And it was a bumpy ride. Like, there was moments where we didn't speak at all. There was moments where she had immense episodes of guilt, of course, also from herself, and then projecting on me and all of this. And we eventually, after now 11 years of that journey, can really look back at it with a lot of pride and strength and connection. And we can see how far we both have gone, and how
Yeah.
much we both, yeah, untangled and really deconstructed those narratives that we have been telling each other about each other. Because for me, she was always the fearful normal mother who cannot let go, and for her, I was always the fragile but rebellious child that doesn't really know what she's doing, but just runs off into the wild.
Yeah.
So I think now, seeing me living my life and inspiring other people to cut these chains also, and to come into health and liberation, really empowers her also in a way, because she can see through a lot of the illusions now. She can see where she was misled, also in her own life. My mother will now ask me for advice about any kind of supplement or routine or whatever, for any kind of ailment that my family or even friends of her have. um, so she's really, what was that mushroom, that amazing thing that you told me the other week? Like, can you write it down for me? And like, it's really cute and beautiful in a way to see how, yeah, it was really
Full
we let-
circle moment.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Isn't it nice? I think that the crazy people are the ones who really, bring it back home to our loved ones, how to question themselves and do it differently. And
Mm,
even if we're not super close, like I'm not particularly super close with a lot of my family, just being brave enough to do it my way gives other people permission, particularly our family members, permission to consider a different possibility, which in our society, most people, they just go along to get along, never questioning what it is they're being told or how it's truly impacting their human experience.
totally, because it can be painful and it's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and the yeah, the effect that comes from it is also, are you taking responsibility, right? Because a lot of this resistance to asking yourself the questions and to finding another way is also to push away or to steer around the responsibility that comes with it, right? Because if that's not the way that you are told, then what is the way? And that means that you
Mhm.
find it and that you need to walk it. So for me, it was a delicate dance throughout all these years, and especially with everything that happened with COVID and so on. I was definitely always the black sheep, but especially when I decided to stay in India during lockdown 2020 and not fly back to Europe with one of the evacuation flights, because I was labeled chronically ill for lung disease. So I was on the list, top
Really high up.
one
Yeah.
of people of risk groups or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm quite good here in the Himalayas with fresh air and no media and whatever. And I think that was really the big split then again. And now what? 5 years later, the people are like, I can kind of understand that decision now. And like, good job. And that's the beauty of it, right? That once we stand strong in our choices and our decisions, even if people are telling us we're crazy, we're out of our minds, blah, 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 and all this fear, because they are not allowing themselves to do these steps for themselves.
Yeah.
After some years, or no matter how many decades or what time, that is what we need to let go, that they will come to their own realizations at one point. And I think that was also the fight that I was navigating for quite some time of like, okay, I found my truth and I want to inspire and bring that to other humans that I care for, that I see suffering, that I see silencing their pains. And at the same time, I cannot put it on them. And I can especially not run to the rooftops and scream it upon all them that I have found a cure or whatever, because that's not how it works. And that's often a lot of ego and a lot of trying to convince or whatever, when actually I feel like the only path is standing in that truth and being the embodiment of our choices, and then
You're
act
so good.
lighthouse kind of as a guide to really just be that frequency, and then everything is gonna align in the right timing. But that's
That's
a tough one when it's about your family and you see people that you love destroying themselves
yeah.
eventually with some of their choices.
It's I love that you just shared that, because I was on a call just earlier today with people, and a gentleman was, talking about his activism against the political party in the United States and stuff. And I said, the way I expel my light is to the be the embodiment of it, not to preach it, not to try to persuade people, but to live what feels right and aligned for me. And it does not have to make sense for anybody else. It just simply has to be what is right for me. And in that space, people who are attracted to it will come, and people who are repelled by it will go. And I just have to stay true to love. So that is so beautiful, and I love that that's the place that you've gotten to, Marlene. Would you say, so your health journey, was it your curiosity around understanding yourself and like the needs of your own mind, body, spirit that led you to travel the world? And if not, what did lead you to make that choice? And what was the experience like traveling and learning about different cultures?
Hmm. Yeah, I think it all coincided beautifully how life does often. I finished my school when I was 17. I had this job offer. I had everything planned out. I wanted to study psychology because I always wanted to understand the psyche and the mind body spirit connection. And then there was always this voice within me. It's like, yeah, that's nice, and at the same time, there is so much more. And as luck wanted it, I was getting sick just before starting those studies. I was still working in a job that I hated, that stressed me out. I got lung infection, I got pneumonia, I landed in the hospital. So that was kind of after I decided to quit everything. So they wanted to put me on an IV with antibiotics again. I resisted. I basically had this split of, okay, do I go the path that I have planned out, or do I completely break with everything? And you can guess which choice I took. I got myself a flight to Southeast Asia, and I decided to postpone my studies for 1 year and really just get out of everything and try to see another perspective. And I could convince my parents that either way the sea air is healthy for your lungs, and the sun and so on. And they were kind of, yeah, we're gonna make a travel insurance and then everything is fine. Their beautiful German controlling side came in there. And then I was off for Southeast Asia for about 3 months, and that was my first journey alone with my backpack. And that changed everything, because literally when I stepped off that plane, I was feeling completely different. All these worries and fears and whatever just faded away like the clouds, and all these voices of my family and of my doctor that knew me since I was a baby, all these heavy loads of, yes, it's care, and at the same time it's very tinted and very
Yeah.
distorted.
Oh, it's fear-based for sure.
Yeah, totally. And so to get that distance and literally oceans between that and my reality shifted a lot. And that's when I started to get into mindfulness, into being a lot out in nature. eating what I wanted, no matter my allergies or whatever, eating what felt good, being in the elements basically, and that cured me. And since then, I think I always had this very deep love for traveling and for changing my perspective and for removing myself from a known environment completely, because not only does immersing yourself in other cultures teach you so much about their ways of being and their ways of staying healthy, and it also brings you a lot about your own perception of these things, like I don't know, the way that people eat breakfast in the other part of the world and why they do that and what they do when it is very hot, what they do when it's very cold. Like all these little hints that we can get about how life could be, or how life and health can be, if we're not completely submerged in these super modern, capitalist, patriarchal, industrialized societies. Because I often travel to third world countries or more rural areas also. Yeah, that brought me to understand a lot of things about where sickness actually comes from, and how much, like you said, it is a deep disconnection to not only our own souls, our own ecosystems, but also the soul of the world and mother nature and the earth
Yeah.
in itself. Like when you start to realize how our bodies are literally a part of that earth body, then a lot of our sickness and especially mental health issues make a lot of sense. And that's literally what I lived and experienced firsthand. Like, who says that it was not even that job that I was having in a city with polluted air and all kind of chemicals? I was packaging stuff with plastic and so on. Like, of course you inhale all of that, and that's literally, yeah, the way that I have started to come to see sickness in a different way is you are getting sick when you are too removed from nature and from your own nature. And
Absolutely. And I think, you know, having grown up in America, like, I mean, I just bear witness to mental health is such a pervasive and insidious state at this point in the culture that I live in. And it is that conditioning. So people are like attached to this idea that they have to exist in this, that they are this thing. And I'm like, but you're not. But you have to give yourself permission to step outside of what it is you're being taught to try
mm,
to experience something different. And that's what I really like about you saying taking responsibility. Like, you took action, but you're right. It took a lot of courage. And and I imagine getting up and going to different cultures and immersing yourself with different communities took a lot of courage, because now you're stepping outside of anything you know. How did you build that resilience, that reservoir of like just faith in the unknown and trusting? Or would you say you always kind of just had that ability to do the thing that felt really hard for others?
beautiful question. And I think there is no linear answer to that, because it's a mix of all of it. Like, I interestingly worked a lot through also my therapy sessions and everything that I do about and learned about developmental trauma. I dived a lot into my birth story and my initial trauma of coming into this world. And interestingly, I have really transformed that image of me being a fragile premature born baby to me being a very strong and resilient warrior that couldn't wait to come into this world, and to not do it in the normal or pre-envisioned way, but just really to tear open some big limitations and barriers. So I think all of this, being fragile or being vulnerable, is actually on the other side of the spectrum and of the perspective, being extremely resilient, because
Mhm.
literally your soul chose to incarnate in this way, to make all these experiences, to confront all these challenges, to overcome all these burdens. So our spirits are extremely resilient and strong. And if you are suffering in that way, that means that there is such enormous strength and power within you.
I
So
love
I
that.
think on one hand, there was always this warrior spirit of, I don't care who tells me it's not possible, I'm going to try it either way. And at the same time, there was always such a curiosity for just life in general. Like, literally, if I see images of me now as a baby or as a child, I always had these huge beaming eyes that wanted to suck in everything that there is to have from life. And even if I see images of me laying in this glass box in the hospital, told that I would maybe not make it, when I look into those babies' eyes, there is fire in there. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to show them how much I can make it, and not only make it, but overcome all of that. So I think, yeah, there was definitely always this warrior spirit. And at the same time, yeah, this curiosity and this hunger for life and for experience and for relationships and different cultures and different communities. I never really wanted to travel just taking a plane and being a tourist, but really taking my backpack and walking into the jungle and really try to understand how the people really live here and
Yeah.
live with them also. And I think this is really one of the characteristics that then made it more accessible or more easy also for me to have this faith and to have this trust and courage, because I was always ready to just jump in these waters and be with the people that also live that way. And that makes it kind of more accessible. You never really feel like you're alone. Like, even if you're somewhere on the other way side of the world and you don't know anyone, there's always humans that are welcoming you with open arms when you come in with that curiosity and with that spirit of discovery. And yeah, I think that's really something that has guided me on my journey so far, to open myself up to those humans and to carry my heart on my sleeve. Not really thinking about whether it's maybe a bit dangerous to hitchhike in a war zone between Israel and Palestine, but actually trusting that there's nice people that are going to pick me up and bring me to my destination. And there was a lot of miracles that unfolded in this way of surrendering and giving myself.
It's so interesting you say that, because I was sharing earlier with somebody, but because I, like you, have bore witness to and experienced miracles regularly. But I do believe that there needs to be a purification first. And that purification isn't, oh, you're good, bad, right, wrong. Like it is coming back to alignment with spirit, like your internal
Mm,
navigation system, your own GPS. Because if you're out of alignment with that, your thinking mind is going to create fear-based stories.
mm,
And because we create our reality through our mind, we will then experience fear-based realities. But if we're tapped in, like if we have mind, body, spirit, like purified that connection, then we can bear witness to the miracles, and we don't worry about being in a war-torn Israel Palestine. And I tell people that all the time, because so often, again, we have this pervasive narrative that we need to be cautious,
mm.
that we need to,
That the
keep
world
our
is a
guard up.
dangerous place.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I was like, our responsibility is to discern. Like, I trust that I will be cared for where in whatever experience I'm having,
Mm,
as long as I'm honest with myself, like if I'm tapped in, tuned into myself. And so that's really powerful. So would you say that your journey toward optimal health, right? And what I mean by that is just learning what works specifically for Marlene, led you to a place of spiritual connection with source? Or do you feel that that was already there and that was part of why you were able to step on to a journey on your own?
mm. I like that question. And just before I forget it, the word responsibility is also a really beautiful and powerful one, because it's literally our ability to respond. It is
Yes.
our ability to respond to what is happening around us.
Yep.
And this kind of creation and reaction, it's what's gonna govern and rule our lives, right? So yeah, spiritual connection and health. Oof, deep one. But let's just say I think my journey back to health and to this flow state of self regulation definitely enhanced my spiritual connection, because not only I did a lot of purification quite naturally. I was never too much the fan of big detox protocols, but I was just always eating healthy, working out, being out in the sun, drinking pure water, and all of this. And of course, that cleanses your channel in a way to be more connected, like you say, to be more in tune, and to then have a more spiritual approach already, because you understand that it makes a difference whether you drink, I don't know, dirty soft drinks with a lot of sugar, or if you drink a beautiful glass of water fresh from the spring. And this connection and this oneness of spirit definitely also comes through food and through health for me. Like, to understand that when you're eating a fresh apple from the tree, it does something different to your body than when you buy it pre-packaged full of pesticides in the supermarket. Like, this connection was definitely a very strong lead in the whole realm of spirituality. And at the same time, I think it was really this two-folded way of, I think I was tapping first really in my spirituality when I decided to make this cut, and when I decided to not take the pre-planned dogmatic way, because in a way everything that was guiding me onto this alternative path was connection to spirit, was
Yeah.
this deep inner knowing and faith of, this is not my life, this is not the life that I want to create. And this voice that I was talking about earlier, whether it is my intuition or whether it is my higher self or my spirit guides, there was something present that was trying to talk to me, and that was calling me in, and that was really, yeah, whispering into my ear that there is something else. And I think then slowly by cutting out all the toxins by the medication, and by really going this alternative health path, that opened up the channels even more. And yeah, so I think spirituality and health is a very beautiful
Yeah. Cohesion.
tapestry. Then again, that is very, very intertwined, because yeah, we can only really be spiritual, I think, when we take care of our body, because our body is the vessel for our spirit. And if we are in alignment with our own health, then we probably also care for the health of the ecosystem and for the environment, because it is all connected. So
Yeah.
yeah.
How, so you mentioned in the beginning to the listening audience that you do like body talk. Can you share with the listening audience, like, how is it that you support people in getting in tune with their own bodies and their own needs? Because we are individualistic, and what works maybe for you may not be the right solution for me.
Yeah, totally. That is one of the number one rules that I always have. There is no fixed optimal health. There is no perfect state of whatever. We are all beautifully individual and so unique and special, and I would never want to change that. So what I'm offering to people is something that I call somatic dialogue. Somatic coming from the Greek word soma, which is the body. So basically, I'm opening a safe and dedicated space for me to act as a mirror, as a clear yet compassionate projection space, which is going to ask questions and have the other person listen very deeply to the answers. So I will guide people in a kind of connected state through meditation and breathing and grounding exercises, and then really through getting in touch with their body and their system, understand where there's tensions, where there is blocked emotions, where there is energies that are not in motion. um, I will use touch and massage techniques, but also energetic healing. I use tuning forks for beautiful aligning frequencies. And I will basically open up a container where this human in front of me and this soul, this spirit, this body can get in connection to their innate inner own wisdom again. Like, I will not tell you what you have. I will not diagnose you. I will not give you a list of things that you should or shouldn't do. But I will really, by asking the right questions, or by even having yourself ask yourself the right questions and listening to the answers, guide you to the path that is right for you. So, in a way, yeah, I will try to not project any of my ideas and interpretations about what that person has or how that could be called or cured or whatever. I don't believe that anyone is broken. I believe that we are all beautiful, perfect crystals that maybe sometimes have cracks and different colors somewhere, but it's all perfect the way it is. It is about whether we can shine in the way that we want to shine. And that is really the opening that I want to create for the humans that come to me. Is I'm not going to try to fix you because you're not broken. I'm not gonna heal you. You can heal yourself. And I am happy to open up a space where you can see how you can better support your system in healing yourself. And yeah, basically really getting on eye level. That's why I call it a dialogue also. It's because, yeah, maybe I've accumulated a lot of knowledge and I'm always knows in some books about ancient wisdoms and whatever, but I don't see myself as an expert. I see myself as a student and teacher at the same time. And I believe everyone is that. And especially we are all our own gurus and our own, yeah, our own guides in a way. The only thing
I
that I
love that.
open up a space for the other one to see that again and to tap into that again. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That, I mean, we are in such agreement and alignment in that way. I feel very much the same way in that I'm a student always and a teacher. And I'm constantly learning from everybody, even people that I am
mhm,
supposedly working with. I'm learning from them and they're mirroring back to me. And it's this beautiful synergy that helps, I believe, the entire ecosystem of the universe when we
yes,
sit in that space of curiosity and love outside
yes,
of expectation and not judging. It really is a beautiful gift. Something you mentioned was tuning forks, and I am hearing a lot more about how music has, the frequency them has been changed to alter its ability. But
mm,
when you go back to the frequency of nature and the music that comes from that natural frequency, I mean,
mhm.
there alone lies a lot of power right there.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So beautiful that you bring that up because it's one of my big passions. I spend a lot of time of the years that I was living in Berlin as a DJ of experimental and ambient events. So I was curating events where people can come into a deep space of healing and transformation. We were renting out old churches and all kind of beautiful places where people could really go into an immersive sound healing event, because I had come to realize also that there is frequencies that heal because
Yeah.
they align our system in a specific way and really enhance those, yeah, those own unique endless healing powers that we have. And everything is sound, everything is vibration, the universe is frequency. So if we can tap into that and play with that, we are really wizards of our own reality and then of
Yeah.
everything that goes on into the body. Like, I work with cosmic frequencies with my tuning fork, so basically I can really align different parts of the body, different bones, different organs, different structures to the planets and the specific elements that they are in correlation with. And it's incredible. Also on the level of the nervous system, we all know how soothing it is for us to go for a walk in the forest because we hear the birds chirping, and not only is it beautiful, but also it sends signals to our reptilian brain, to our oldest brain part, that we are safe. Because
Yeah.
back then, when we were still living out in nature, hearing the birds chirp meant that there was no big predator around, because the birds would not chirp that way then. And nowadays we don't really logically think about that anymore, but that's just
Yeah.
to symbolize the power of sound and the power of frequencies to bring us back to those aligned states. And we all know, yeah, that it makes a difference what we listen to, and that is true on such a more subtle level, to the point
Yeah.
of how different sounds and frequencies structure water, um, how it structures literally the water in our cells and everything that our body is made out of. So yeah, there is this way of really becoming a wizard of frequency and sound in our own lives, and tap back into that power, and not only by external factors, but I love the experiences of humming, of toning, of singing.
Mhm.
We all know what tremendous power it can hold to just let our bodies vibrate with these, yeah, with these sounds and those different frequencies, not for what it sounds like or what it looks like, but really how it feels like and what it does to us. And that is then, like you say, it's the universe that's living in tune, in sync with everything that creation is.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's such a gift. Oh, I feel like I could have this conversation with you for hours. And
Let's
most
do it.
definitely me and Yanko definitely want you on our show for no particular reason, because that would be another blast. Is there anything that you want to impart on our listening audience? Just one, maybe wisdom or something that you felt has been instrumental in helping you get to this frequency of joy, because that's what you are and that's a gift you bring to the world.
Thank you so much, first of all. Wow, one message that I have to share. Mm. If I would really want to put it simple, then all of your pains, all of your worries, all of your sorrows, all of your fear, all of your symptoms is not your true self. Everything that you are feeling that is weighing you down, that is making you heavy, that is making your mind run in circles, that is not letting you any silence or rest, that is making you sleepless at night, is a symptom of a sick system and a world that has been removed from its natural organic state and way of being. And I really believe that as humans that are living in these anti civilizations of modern culture are suffering tremendously because we have been merged and pushed and, yeah, formed into a kind of way of living that is neither natural nor desirable nor healthy for us. And I see so many humans nowadays being utterly lost and confused and overwhelmed and out of touch with themselves because they are literally numbing themselves on all the different levels of being in order to not feel the suffering that their soul is feeling,
Yep.
because it is living in such a system. Like, let's be honest, you cannot be in tune with yourself and in touch with your being and watch the news on a normal
Thank
evening. You
you.
cannot let those messages come even close to you, because we are all connected, and that is suffering and that is pain, and that is not a mistake. That is pure conditioning, and that is pure programming to keep us in a frequency of fear, to keep us in a frequency of scarcity, of competition, to keep us running in this hamster wheel and in this rat race and performing as slaves and as cogs in a wheel of this huge machine that is the capitalist destruction craziness that we are trapped in. Like, I could open up a whole new kind of worms about all of that, but yeah, I think my basic message is just life can be simple and joyful and abundant if we allow ourselves to remove ourselves and distance ourselves from all these labels and conditionings and everything that we are told and everything that we are spoon fed since we are babies. Because no, this way of living is not the only way, and it's not the right one, and it's not your fault if you feel out of place in this way. So yeah, to everyone that is diagnosed with whatever disease, because that's literally just a disease, because you're not at ease with your life,
Yep.
every kind of sickness that they might have been diagnosed with, every kind of mental health issue, I really believe that they are the gifted ones and the powerful ones that are still feeling what is going on within them, because a big part of the global collective is not even feeling their symptoms anymore, because they are numbing themselves with either medication or alcohol or addictions or whatever. So everyone that is, yeah, having these symptoms, they are already one step towards the healing also, because they can tap into what their body actually has to tell them, and to choose to listen, and to choose to find a different way that can lead us back to connection with ourselves and with the whole. So I just want to speak a lot of courage and a lot of faith and a lot of, yeah, power and trust into everyone that is struggling with whatever, because honestly, what you are feeling just means that you're human. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling any kind of pain, that just means that you're not a robot in a world that is so painful on so many levels.
Yeah.
So
And that they're not alone. So for anybody who's
everything.
interested, I will have this Miss Beautiful Marlene's information in the show notes. Please feel free to check out her website, learn more about how she shows up in love and service to other people. I mean, you're like a warm blanket on a cold winter day in Massachusetts, Marlene. I am so thrilled to have this conversation, and I really, truly look forward to building a deeper connection with you, because you are love and I am love, and it's a gift I think we give to the world. And I will leave you all with this.
Thank
Laughter
you.
is truly, fundamentally, a profound healing tool. Life is meant to be witnessed and experienced, but mainly laughed at, because we're all on this journey of curiosity and fun. So please, if nothing else, give yourself permission to laugh and experience the gifts that are ever present to you when you're allowing yourself to tap into those gifts. Until next week, I'm so honored to be here with you all, with you, Marlene, in your presence of love and curiosity. And I encourage you all to choose love over fear, because love will carry you through always.
I
Mwah.
hope so. I hope. And not forget to play and laugh.